Hare Krishna. We'll sing Jaya Radha Madhava. Please sing along for the pleasure of Sri Sri Radha Kalachandji. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Gopi Janavalabha Girivaradhari Jaya Gopi Janavalabha Girivaradhari Yashoda Nandana Prajajana Ranjana Yashoda Nandana Brajajana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Yashoda Nandana Brajajana Ranjana Yashoda Nandana Brajajana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Hare Krishna Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Om Jnanatimirandhasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prishaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pashyatya Desha Dharine Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Hare Krishna. Thank you very much for coming to Sri Sri Radha Kalachandji Mandir, this wonderful dham in the middle of Dallas. Who would have thought that there's a holy place in the middle of Texas? which is quite a crazy state when you look at the things going on. I won't speak of the unspeakable activities happening all over this state, but let's say for sure Mother Earth is not pleased with this state. So you all are coming here to bless this land. Thank you so much for spending this Sunday evening here. My name is Brihat Mrdanga Das, and there was a short introduction. Just to be real, okay, I was talking with my friend about trying to present this class this evening, and I was expressing that I often find it difficult when I'm speaking to big audiences because you all didn't specifically come here to see me. Let's be real. Maybe there's one or two in here who specifically came, but most of you just happen to be here. I happen to be here. So I very much want to do this service in a way that is relevant, in a way that will be uplifting, that will be true, in line with our ancient lineage of gurus. And so I need your assistance. I often feel nervous when I'm speaking in front of a big crowd, but if you help me, then perhaps we can have some magic in the air this evening and we can maybe receive a divine message, because Bhagavad Gita is no ordinary book. You all know this much better than I. Bhagavad Gita is alive. Lord Krishna is incarnated in Bhagavad Gita. He speaks to us through Bhagavad Gita. And when there are this many sincere listeners in one place trying to hear some message of Bhagavad Gita, then surely those who are attentive will receive something special. Regardless of the imperfections of the speaker, you all don't have any imperfections, but if we are sincere, then we can receive some magic this evening. I wanted to share a bit about something relevant to a new year. Did any of you make resolutions, or you have aspirations for improving your life in 2026? Raise your hand if you have specific ways that you would like to improve your life. Okay. Maybe 25% of you. Okay. So this can be an opportunity for the 25% to reflect more, and the 75% maybe to think about some specific ways that you'd like to improve your life in this year, 2026. We will look at a reference from Bhagavad Gita, chapter 6. If you would like, on your device, you can pull up the relevant verse so you can read along. This is text 17 of chapter 6 of Bhagavad Gita as it is. If you don't know, there's a website called vedabase.io, and you can find this and many other books by our founder, Srila Prabhupada, for free on your device. In this verse, Lord Krishna is talking about balance. We may set goals for this 2026, and in a large part, we're trying to balance out something that we may have neglected in 2025. Maybe we focus a lot on our career, but we neglect our family a bit. Or maybe we focus a lot on our health, but we neglect our spiritual practice a little. So this can be an opportunity to reflect on the balance in our life and to try to bring things a little bit in a more harmonious place. So 6.17, if you have it there, you can repeat after me. Yuktahara viharasya Yukta cheshtasya karmasu Yukta swapnavabodhasya Yogo bhavati dukhaha. Does anyone in the audience want to call it out for us? Yuktahara viharasya Yukta cheshtasya karmasu Tasvapnavabodhasya yogo bhavati dukkha. A round of applause for Jaishnav. He's memorized this verse. Very nice. Anyone else? Yuktahara viharasya yukta cheshtasya karmasu yukta swapnavabodhasya yogo bhavati dukkha. Yuktahara viharasya yukta cheshtasya karmasu yukta swapnavabodhasya yogo bhavati dukkha. Also memorized. Very nice. Yuktahara viharasya yukta cheshtasya karmasu yukta swapnavabodhasya yogo bhavati dukkha. Okay, last one. Rashishvi. Yuktahara viharasya yukta cheshtasya karmasu yukta swapnavabodhasya yogo bhavati dukkha. Thank you all very much. So this could be a resolution, is to practice some Bhagavad Gita verses this year. So why is this verse important? Before we go into the meaning, Krishna says, dukkha ha. What is dukh? Misery. Do you wake up in the morning wanting misery? No. We want dukkha ha, which means we want to kill misery. We want to destroy the misery in our life. So Krishna is giving us the secret. You want to be free from dukkha? Here's what you do. Srila Prabhupada's translation reads, he who is regulated in his habits of eating, sleeping, recreation, and work can mitigate all material pains by practicing the yoga system. The 4 things. What were those 4? Without looking, can anyone say? Eating, sleeping, recreation, and work. Yes, these are the 4 categories that we will discuss this evening. Things that are pretty important in our everyday life. We'll read Srila Prabhupada's purport before we begin. Srila Prabhupada writes, extravagance in the matter of eating, sleeping, defending, and mating, which are demands of the body, can block advancement in the practice of yoga. As far as eating is concerned, it can be regulated only when one is practiced to take and accept prasadam, sanctified food. Lord Krishna is offered, according to the Bhagavad Gita 9.26, vegetables, flowers, fruits, grains, milk, etc. In this way, a person in Krishna consciousness becomes automatically trained not to accept food not meant for human consumption, or not in the category of goodness. If you want to know the foods in the mode of goodness, Bhagavad Gita gives more detail. As far as sleeping is concerned, a Krishna-conscious person is always alert in the discharge of his duties in Krishna consciousness, and therefore any unnecessary time spent sleeping is considered a great loss. Avyartha kalatvam. A Krishna-conscious person cannot bear to pass a minute of his life without being engaged in the service of the Lord. Therefore, his sleeping is kept to a minimum. His ideal in this respect is Srila Rupa Goswami, who was always engaged in the service of Krishna and who could not sleep more than 2 hours a day, and sometimes not even that. Thakur Haridas would not even accept prasadam, nor even sleep for a moment, without finishing his daily routine of chanting with his beads, 300,000 names. As far as work is concerned, a Krishna-conscious person does not do anything which is not connected with Krishna's interest, and thus his work is always regulated and is untainted by sense gratification. Since there is no question of sense gratification, there is no material leisure for a person in Krishna consciousness. And because he is regulated in all his work, speech, sleep, wakefulness, and all other bodily activities, there is no material misery for him. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Let's go through these categories one by one. Krishna says, Yukt ahara. Ahar is eating. It needs to be regulated. This is how Srila Prabhupada translates this word. We need to have a balanced approach. In fact, in the previous verse, Krishna made it very clear. One should not eat too much, but one should also not eat too little. Because we have to eat to keep our body healthy and strong, even if we are a transcendentalist. And yet, even if we keep our body very strong just for material activities, then it's not so useful. Because eventually our body will become older and it won't be very capable. Thank you, Prabhu. And so our Srila Prabhupada said this famous phrase, to make the best use of a bad bargain. This bag of flesh that we call our body it's a bad deal because it will expire in a short time. We have just a little bit of time where it can do useful things, and in that time we need to use it in the best possible way. And so we keep the body fit and healthy, and not just for material activities, but for investing in our eternal account of Krishna consciousness, our spiritual bank account, because otherwise all that we do with this body will go with this body. It may last a few generations, but then it will go. So while we eat to keep the body strong, we spiritualize our eating by offering what we are going to eat to Lord Krishna and taking the remnants as Mahaprasad. Krishna is so kind that he has given us this joyful process of yoga, the yoga of eating. You can go tell people at work, you can call your relatives and tell them that every day I'm practicing the yoga of eating. Bhakti is so wonderful, it's so easy. Krishna makes it so natural for us. In other yogic paths, one may practice severe austerities. Maybe you have heard of people who go up in the Himalayas, or they go into the forest and they meditate and they fast, or they stand in the cold water in the winter time. This is not necessary for the devotee of Krishna, because Krishna wants us to come back to him joyfully. He says later in the Gita that Rajavidya Rajaguhyam Pavitramidam Uttamam Pratyakshavagamam Dharmyam Susukam Kartum Avyayam. The process of bhakti is not just sukha, but it's susukha. It's extremely joyful. In fact, one of our acharyas says that it's Kevala Ananda Kanda. It's the path of only happiness. And so we have wonderful prasadam. If you don't already offer everything in your home that you cook to Krishna, this is a very powerful practice to purify your consciousness, is to have a deity of Krishna, or at least a picture, and to offer your vegetarian food to Krishna. And then every time you eat, you're making progress in your spiritual life. Some of us may already do this regularly. Then what we can do is reflect on the quality of the offering that we make. I know for myself, often when I make an offering to Krishna, I'm thinking, I can't wait to enjoy this. And so it's not a very proper offering. Really, it should be, Krishna, I want you to enjoy this. And if you want to leave something left for me, then I'll be very happy and grateful. But if you want to eat everything and leave nothing for me, then that's okay too. In fact, there's a nice story of one devotee, Raghunandan Thakur. His father, just briefly, it's just such a nice story, I can't resist sharing. His father was going away for some time, and so he asked his little son, maybe 5 years old, we can imagine, little Raghunandan, to watch the deities. And he said that you need to offer the bhoga to the Lord and make sure that the Lord eats his bhoga. And so the father is away, and Raghunandan offers the plate on the deity's altar, and he says, "My dear Lord, please take this prasadam, this bhoga. Please enjoy this." And the Lord is standing there. And Raghunandan is, "My Lord, please take this. Please, my father asked me to give this to you. Please take this." And then Krishna eats the offering, and there's nothing left. And so then the father comes back, and he says, "Okay, Raghunandan, you have the prasadam?" And he says, "I gave it to Krishna. There's nothing left." He says, "What do you mean, there's nothing left?" He says, "I offered it to Krishna, and he ate." And I forgot one detail, that he was crying. He was in great anxiety. "Please, my Lord, please take this offering." So much feeling. And so his father says, "Okay, please do one more offering and let me see." And so he watches him make another offering. We should offer to Krishna with emotion, with feeling. But at least at the beginning, out of duty, we make an offering. So this is how we can regulate our eating. And the process of eating can be spiritualized. And Srila Prabhupada gives us a very high standard. He is talking about the Goswamis. These are 6 primary teachers that we have in this Gaudiya Vaishnava parampara, who set the standard. They were the direct disciples of Lord Chaitanya, and they were actually very wealthy, very aristocratic. We can imagine today's world, maybe some people you know who are very wealthy, very powerful, influential people. Now just imagine, they gave up everything and they went to live under trees in the holy places like Vrindavan, and just wrote books for the benefit of all of humanity. And it said, Nidrahara viharakari vijato chatyanta dino chayo. They controlled their eating, sleeping, recreation very strictly. And Srila Prabhupada talks about how they barely slept at all. And there's other descriptions that this one, Raghunath Das Goswami, he would eat just a little palmful of buttermilk, maybe every other day. That's all he would have for his food, for his prasad. So it's a very high standard. At least we can try to not eat too much, not eat too little. Next, Krishna says, Yukta Vihar. Oh, excuse me. Yes, Yukta Ahar is eating, then Yukta Vihar. What is Vihara? Is recreation, yes. Like Krishna is called Vraja Vihari. He plays in the groves of Vrindavan Dham. We should have regulation in our recreation. We need to have fun, because Krishna consciousness is not dry. If it's dry, then we're not doing it. Or at least we're not really properly applying the science, because Krishna is Rasaraj. He is the king of mellows. And he, in our relationship with Krishna, then we should experience some taste, some sweetness, some emotion. This is the way that we know that we are advancing in Krishna consciousness, is if we are getting some feeling, some taste. Like reading Bhagavad Gita, we feel so happy. Krishna is so kind. Like this one, a devotee in South India, he was illiterate, and he was told by his spiritual master to read Bhagavad Gita, and he was crying with his Bhagavad Gita, and Lord Chaitanya came to him and he says, "My dear Brahmana, why are you crying?" And he said that, I can't read this, but just remembering that Lord Krishna is so kind that although he's the supreme person, he has accepted this humble role as a charioteer of his dear friend Arjun. So he's crying and crying, not even able to read the shlokas in the Bhagavad Gita. So someone may memorize all 700 verses of Bhagavad Gita, but if it's just an intellectual thing, it's not pleasing to Krishna really. It's not really bhakti. That's just some intellectual gymnastics. It's good. It's very nice. Better to memorize that than to memorize something mundane. But we should have some delight in the practice of Krishna consciousness. And certainly, kirtan is a very easy way to find happiness in Krishna consciousness. Just doing this kirtan before the class, I was thinking, maybe we should just keep doing this. We should just go on and just be chanting. It's so sweet. Anyone from any background, any language, any age, no problem. We can all experience the happiness of Hare Krishna Kirtan. Lord Chaitanya describes Anandam Buddhivardhanam Pratipadam Purnamrita Swadanam. This process of chanting is like an ocean of happiness which always gets bigger. And at every step of the journey, we experience the full nectar that we're seeking, that we're craving in our soul. This is the wonder of the holy name of Krishna. So perhaps we don't have taste for reading philosophy. Perhaps we don't have taste for chanting japa. Perhaps we don't have so much feeling when we're doing a puja. But maybe in the kirtan, it's easy for many of us to connect and open our heart. But whatever it is, we need to find something related to Krishna that we appreciate, that we have some taste for. Writing is one very wonderful hobby that I have in Krishna consciousness. I spend lately every morning writing for an hour, and it's so wonderful. I'm writing about my reflections on what I've read and heard in classes. I'm attempting to write about my experience in Krishna consciousness in years past. So we all have a unique way that we can please Krishna with our service. And so please find that. If you've already found it, cultivate that, go deeper and deeper and deeper. There's unlimited depth in the sweetness we can taste in Krishna consciousness. Shukadev Goswami in Srimad Bhagavatam, this is actually Srila Vyasadeva in the third verse. He's saying, Muhur aho rasika bhuvi bhavoka. Oh, my great intelligent people, please relish the sweetness of Srimad Bhagavatam. It's rasam alayam. Have you all had rasamalai? Have you had rasagula? It's very sweet, yes? It's soaked, completely saturated in sweetness. And you know, even more sweet than rasamalai, than rasagula, than kheer is Bhagavad Purana. It's an acquired taste. Krishna is very kind. He gives us prasadam to purify our hearts. And as we take prasadam, as we chant the holy names, these very easy processes, then nirmatsaranam satam, as we become free from malice, as we develop real empathy for all living beings, then we can taste the sweetness of Srimad Bhagavatam. In fact, every verse, every syllable of Srimad Bhagavatam is full of prema, Sanatana Goswami says. So this is about experiencing some happiness, recreation in Krishna consciousness. And when one is very advanced in Krishna consciousness, everything is fun, because that's the nature of Krishna. What does Krishna do in the spiritual world eternally? Leela, he plays, yeah. Krishna just plays with the cowherd boys in the forest. They play games, and it's just unlimited enjoyment. So this is recreation. Next, yukta cheshtasya karmasu. We need to have regulation in our work. Perhaps we may have a well-paying job and it's easy to become a workaholic. We want to just work and work and work and work and work. And it's unsustainable. Krishna is saying that we need to find regulation in our work because we have other obligations we need to balance. It's so common in the world today that families don't get the proper attention they need because work is so intense. And unfortunately, the culture of this country is such that perhaps we have to work so hard to afford the basic necessities. We need to consider carefully what are the basic necessities. We hear from Sri Ishopanishad that Ishavasyamidam sarvam yat kincha jagatyam jagat tena tyaktena bunjita magarda kashya swiddhanam. That everything is owned by Krishna. Nothing belongs to us. Our house, our clothing, our family, our laptop, our vehicle, nothing belongs to us. It's all Krishna's. So it says that one should only accept the quota which is allotted to them by the Lord and shouldn't be greedy for more. This is out of sync with reality. Krishna takes care of unlimited living beings. Nityo nityanam chaitanas chaitananam eko bahunam yo vidadhati kaman. There's unlimited beings who are eternal and conscious, but there's one who is maintaining all of the rest, and that is Bhagavan, Krishna. We don't need to worry. He has us covered. A symptom of surrender is that Krishna will maintain me. Krishna will protect me no matter what. This is faith. We need to develop more and more faith that Krishna will provide. It's not my employer that's giving me my paycheck. It's not my husband that is providing my needs. It's not my country that gives me my social security. It's not that Geico is my insurance. These things are all flimsy. Really, the only shelter we have is in Krishna. And all these other sources of shelter are empowered by Krishna to give us protection and maintenance. They're instruments of Krishna's protection. And so we need to recognize, what is my quota? What do I actually need to live a healthy, satisfied life? And I can have excess time that I can use for serving the Lord. For example, there are many devotee families who specifically purchase homes or they build homes just in the nearby Kalachanji Dham neighborhood here. So they can maximize their service at the temple. And they do just as whatever work they need just to make sure their family is happy. The children have good education, they have good health. But beyond that, why waste time? There's so much wonderful activity to do in the service of Krishna. And in fact, not just for our own happiness. Most of us, I can speak for myself, I'm thinking about my own happiness more than the happiness of others. But there's so many people who are suffering in this few block, in this like 1 mile around this temple. There's so many people who are desperately needing help, spiritual answers that we can provide from Bhagavad Gita. So why should I spend my time just trying to accumulate more so I can get one more vehicle or one slightly bigger home or some? Is it really necessary? Will I really find happiness in that more than I will by transforming my life and the lives of others in Krishna consciousness? We need to reflect very seriously. And even someone who is a renunciate has to carefully guard against the tendency to collect. Because it's to renunciates that dharmic grahastas will give money and food. Even a renunciate has to learn to be very, to not take too much. So these are the four, one the final activity that we need to find regulation in is in sleeping. Yukta swapnavabodhasya. Srila Prabhupada here gives a very high standard again. He says that our Rupa Goswami slept 2 hours, if that. He was so busy in Krishna consciousness, he didn't want to sleep more than 2 hours per night. Now that's quite a high standard, and we shouldn't imitate. But again, we can consider, do I really need to sleep 9, 10 hours? Can I reduce practically? Or in the previous verse, Krishna says we shouldn't sleep too little. Is it really good for me to be waking up so early or going to bed so late and only getting 5 hours of rest when I'm exhausted and angry at people around me? Is that really going to be most pleasing to Krishna? We need to have balance in our sleep. And Srila Prabhupada gives a beautiful metaphor. He says that a Krishna conscious person is always alert in the discharge of his duties in Krishna consciousness. So always wanting to be conscious, because really, what is sleep? You're not even there. Real happiness comes when we are there experiencing happiness, right? True or not true? You have to be present to experience happiness. Say yes. True. We have to, if we're not there, if we're totally unconscious, we won't feel happiness. And this is why Krishna also explains about the modes of nature. If we are in ignorance, in darkness, we're not really experiencing happiness. If we're in passion, our happiness is in some future thing that we don't have yet. And once we get it, we want another future thing. This is not healthy happiness. And even in goodness, we're just happy in material things which will one day fade. Or at least we're happy in our knowledge, and we can become a bit proud of that. So these are a few reflections on regulation in these 4 prime activities in our lives. It's a new year. We have a golden opportunity to improve our lives and set some aspirations to transform ourselves. And one very helpful advice that I consistently come back to is to make small changes. We may want to say that this year I will eat no dessert at all, no sweets, or I will wake up at 4 a.m. every day. We make some big declaration, and it's not sustainable. In fact, science, I'm sure you can look up many studies how few people actually follow through with such resolutions. So let's start with something that's practical and manageable and work from there. And final point, after which I'd like to hear your reflections or questions, is that January 1st is a good opportunity for changing our life, but is not January 4th a good opportunity? January 5th, 6th, 7th? Is there ever not a good opportunity to start again? There's, you can call it Makeover Monday. Okay, that last week was not so nice. Let me try again this week. Or at the end of the day, we may feel frustrated. I really didn't come up to the standard of what I would like to be. But no problem, tomorrow I will start again. Or even each moment. Okay, I just did something really foolish. I can't believe I did that. Okay, let me try again right now. Every opportunity, every moment is a new opportunity to start again and strive to be that ideal self we are wanting to be. Hare Krishna. Thank you for your kind attention. We have about 10 minutes. I would love to hear reflections, and we have a microphone here, so please raise your hand, share something that struck you, something that you feel is relevant in your life, something that you would like to ask. And if you don't, then I will just select someone from the audience. Yes?
Hare Krishna Prabhu, thank
Hare
you so
Krishna.
much
Thank
for being
you.
here.
What is your good name?
Antaryami,
Antaryami.
Hare Krishna,
Nice to meet you.
for sharing such relevant points and topics for the first year in Radha Kalachandji Dham. And I so hope that it touched so many hearts and so many ears so that we can see an even more increased awakening in spiritual consciousness and in reliving Srila Prabhupada's goal and dream for ISKCON. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you very much, Mother Antaryami. Yes, other reflections. What is something that came out of Krishna's words here, Srila Prabhupada's words, our discussion, that was relevant to your life? Maybe no one is speaking because you all already have balance in all of these 4 areas. You're all Goswamis. Perhaps I should swap, maybe. What reflections do you have? Yes. Yes, please. Please take the microphone so the online viewers can participate.
I just have a quick question. So by food, he is referring to sattvic food, right? By food, which Krishna is referring, like eating habits, he's referring to as sattvic food.
Yes.
Right? Yeah.
Yes, that is one aspect of balancing our eating, is eating food in the mode of goodness, sattvic food.
Yeah, and I also believe like faith can change a whole world.
Faith can change our whole world.
Yeah, faith can change our whole world, and if we surrender ourselves to the lotus feet of Sri Krishna, I mean, we can see the miracles that can happen in our life. And I believe like I believe is like sometimes we think that, oh, I believe in Krishna, but we don't do anything, right? We just like give order, like, hey Krishna, I want this, can you give me this? I think that doesn't really work. So it's better to do the work we do will eventually align things for our betterment in our life. And I believe surrendering our life in front of lotus feet of Shri Krishna will really help us in our spiritual world. I mean, growing in our life, rather than having, we all can, some people can have a lot of money, less money, but it's more about loving him. I will just say love Krishna, be more dedication, have faith, and see the world will change.
Thank you very much. Yes, in the Christian
Hare
tradition, it is said that faith can move mountains. And we also have this Sanskrit verse which says, Mukham karoti vachalam, that one who is mute can become an eloquent speaker. And pangum langayate girim, one who is crippled can cross the Himalaya mountains. Yat kripa tamaham vande Shri Gurum dinataranam. That this is the mercy of the Guru. It's the mercy of Krishna flowing through the Guru that can make miracles happen. And so, why not dream big? Yes, for our own lives and for the lives of others. Let's dream big. We can do amazing things as an instrument of divinity. Other reflections? Yes, please.
Hare Krishna. First of all, I'm so glad that you're back, Brihat Mrdanga Prabhu. I always
Hare
love your
Krishna.
classes, so
Thank
it was a
you.
very nice surprise to start the new year hearing from you. But you made me remember some things that I had heard from His Holiness Satyanandana Swami Maharaj. He spoke these things, and then it was put on his Instagram page. But one thing that he spoke about and wrote about was how in bhakti we can always begin anew. And there's no need to dwell on, he said, there's no need to keep a garden of things, of unwanted things. Every day you can prune and throw things away and start fresh with the garden. And there was also, you made me remember something else that he said, which he got this question of someone saying, I do so much service, I wake up really early, and I do a lot of service, and I chant my rounds, and I do my job, and I get home really, really late. I just don't have any time to read. I just don't have any time to hear classes. What can I do? And his answer was, I think we really need to look at the life that we're living, and is this the right life? Is that the right life for you, that you actually have no time to hear from Krishna in the sacred texts? And so sometimes these reflections are very nice, like, oh, I can just leave aside the unwanted things in my garden, and sometimes they're really painful. But both, I guess, are necessary in bhakti.
Thank you very much. Yes. We need to be very thoughtful about the life that we're living, and is it in harmony with our deepest values, our deepest aspirations? Yes.
Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Thank you, Prabhu. It was a wonderful class, and the theme that you selected was also very nice. I just remembered one funny thing that Prabhupada used to say, but it carried so much of weightage in a statement. He said, if one sleeps too much, one becomes lazy, and if one sleeps too less, then he goes crazy. Yeah, that was in context. If one sleeps too much, becomes lazy, and one who sleeps too less goes crazy. I think it was in the context of the previous verse. Natyashnatostu yogosti nachaikantam.
Yeah, great. Thank you very much. Okay, can we have one final brave? Yes, Prabhu.
Prabhu, when you mentioned that Srila Rupa Goswami slept only 2 hours a day, it reminded me how Srila Prabhupada, I heard, would sleep only 90 minutes every day. And he would spend the most precious hours of the day translating his books, which he called them as his devotional ecstasies. So thought I would just share that.
Yes, Prabhu, thank you so much. And I'm reminded now that there's one very important topic, just briefly, in 1 minute I will share, is that we were talking about balancing our work and connecting our work to Krishna. A wonderful way, perhaps the most practical way we can turn our work into spiritual work is by dedicating the fruits of our work, by offering something from our endeavors, from our daily activity, selflessly for helping this world by specifically this mission of sharing Bhagavad Gita. So we are doing a drive to distribute 5,000 Bhagavad Gitas for this marathon. And we just have a few days, just 3 days left. We're 80% of the total goal. And so we are asking you if you would be so kind as to sponsor Bhagavad Gitas. You can sponsor a whole case, you can sponsor a few cases, and this is a very powerful way. In fact, Lord Krishna says in the end of Bhagavad Gita that Nachatasman manushyeshu kaschid me priya kritama. There is no one in the world more dear to me than that person who shares the message of Bhagavad Gita. So if we can think of doing something to start this year on a very auspicious note, please consider coming over to this table here, sponsor Bhagavad Gitas, take a whole box and give them away to co-workers, family, or just sponsor it and we will distribute them for you. This is our humble request. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. His Grace, Mrdanga Prabhu ki jai. Let us give a big round of applause to Prabhuji for a wonderful class.